You almost let them go. Not because they did something wrong, not because the love wasn't real, but because something inside you started questioning everything. And the longer the silence lasted, the louder the doubt became. You started telling yourself, maybe this isn't right. Maybe I'm holding on to something God already released. Maybe I'm confusing what I feel for what He said. And right now, as you're watching this, that question is still sitting in your chest. Is this person still the one? I need you to stay with me, because what I'm about to walk you through is not a simple answer. It is something God has been trying to say to you, and you've been too afraid to hear it fully. Here's the thing about doubt. It doesn't always come from truth. Sometimes doubt comes from delay, and you have confused the two. You assumed that because it hasn't happened yet, it must not be happening at all. But Habakkuk 2 verse 3 says this, "The vision is for an appointed time. It may seem slow, but wait for it. It will surely come." That verse was written for someone who had already received the promise, someone who was watching time pass and starting to feel like they missed it. That is exactly where you are right now. You received something from God, a peace, a knowing, a moment that felt too clear to be your own imagination. And then life got complicated, and that clarity started to feel far away. So now you don't know if you're holding on in faith or holding on out of fear. Let me ask you something real. When did you stop trusting what God showed you? Not when did you first doubt. When did you decide to stop trusting the original word? Because there is a difference between a test of faith and a sign to let go. And most people in your position have never stopped to ask that question honestly. They just feel the distance, they feel the confusion, and they start building a case in their mind for why it didn't work out. But I want to tell you something. The enemy does not attack connections that are already dead. Think about that. He attacks what is alive. He attacks what is real. He amplifies doubt specifically around the things God confirmed. 1 Corinthians 14:33 says, "God is not the author of confusion." So if confusion showed up and started dismantling what God spoke clearly to your spirit, you need to ask who authored that confusion, because it wasn't Him. And here is where it gets specific. The doubt you're carrying right now did not come from nowhere. It came after something, maybe after a long silence, maybe after a misunderstanding that never fully healed, maybe after someone in your life spoke words that planted seeds of uncertainty. And what happened is this: you took someone else's perspective and placed it over what God whispered directly to you. You let noise override the still small voice. And now you're standing at a crossroads, not between two people, between two versions of what you believe about God's faithfulness. Because here's the question that is really underneath all of this. Do you believe God meant what He said? Not in general, specifically, about this, about them. Isaiah 46 verse 11 says, God declares the end from the beginning. He says His purpose will stand. He doesn't revise His plans because the process got uncomfortable. He doesn't retract the promise because you went through a hard season. And yet, something happened between the moment you received the peace and the moment you're sitting here watching this video. Something shifted your trust. Not in them, in God. And I know you won't say it that way. You'll say, I'm just being realistic. I'm just facing what I see. I'm just trying to protect myself. But underneath all of that is one raw, honest, terrifying question. What if God is asking me to trust Him in the one area I cannot control? Stay right there, because what I'm about to show you in the next part of this is going to change how you see everything that happened between you and this person. The pattern you missed, the moments you thought were endings, the sign that was sitting right in front of you that doubt kept you from recognizing. You are not ready for it yet, but you will be. You've been reading the silence wrong. Every time they didn't reach out, you translated it as confirmation that it was over. Every time distance grew, you took it as God closing the door. But what if the silence wasn't an ending? What if it was a waiting room? And the reason it hurt so much is because you were never meant to be comfortable in it. You were meant to be changed by it. Here is something no one tells you about divine timing. It is never passive. When God is aligning something, He is not just moving circumstances. He is excavating the people involved. He is removing what would ruin the connection before the connection is fully given. And excavation is not quiet. It is not comfortable. It does not look like things are going well. It looks like distance. It looks like silence. It looks like confusion. And from the outside, from the inside even, it looks exactly like what you've been afraid of. It looks like it's falling apart. But Psalm 138 verse 8 says, "The Lord will perfect that which concerns you." Not present, not past, that which concerns you. As in the thing you are carrying right now, the unresolved thing, the thing you cannot fix on your own. God is not watching it unravel. He is perfecting it. The question is whether you trust the process enough to stop interfering. And I have to be honest with you about something. Some of the doubt you've been feeling is not spiritual discernment. It is anxiety wearing a spiritual costume. You dressed up anxiety in the language of wisdom, and you started calling it God closing a door, when really you just couldn't stand the weight anymore. I say that not to shame you. I say it because it is one of the most common traps God's people fall into. We get a word, we get a confirmation, and then the timeline doesn't match our expectation, so we create an exit that looks holy. We call it letting go and letting God, when what we really mean is, I am tired of waiting and I need this pain to stop. Ruth 1 verse 16, "Where you go, I will go. Where you die, I will die." That verse is famous, but read what came before it. Naomi told Ruth to leave. She told her twice. She said, "Go back to your people. Go back to your gods. There is nothing left for me to give you." And if Ruth had agreed, if she had taken that as a sign, the entire story would have ended there. But something in Ruth refused to accept the narrative of abandonment as the final word. And that refusal was not desperation. It was covenant-level faith. Now, I want you to hear this very carefully. The person you're doubting right now may have said or done something that felt like Naomi's words. They may have pulled back. They may have gone quiet. They may have even told you to move on. And you took that as the answer. But sometimes God allows the person to say words their flesh means so that your faith can answer with something deeper than words. Not a text, not a conversation, not a confrontation. A decision made quietly in your own spirit to trust what God said over what pain interpreted. And here is where the twist lives. The moment you almost let go, the moment you rehearsed the goodbye in your mind, that was not weakness. That was the exact moment the enemy needed you to cross over the line into unbelief, because he knew what was about to shift. He knew what God was preparing on the other side of that silence, and the only way to stop it was to get you to agree with the doubt before the breakthrough arrived. Job 23 verse 10 says, "God knows the way that I take, and when he has tested me, I shall come forth as gold." Job said that in the middle of devastation, not after it, in the middle. He didn't know the end yet. He just knew the character of the one who designed the process. That is the posture God is calling you into right now. Not certainty about the outcome, certainty about the one orchestrating it. And I have to be honest with you about this person specifically. The thing you noticed about them that no one else saw, that quiet thing, that small, specific detail that made you feel like God was speaking through them somehow, you haven't forgotten it. You've tried to explain it away.
You've tried to rationalize it, but it keeps coming back. And that's not obsession. That's not emotional attachment running out of control. That is a marker. God places markers on the things He set apart for you, so that even when doubt comes, something in your spirit recognizes what the mind is trying to deny. So let me ask you the central question again. Is this person still part of God's plan for you? I told you I would answer it fully, and I will, but I need you to understand something first. The answer is not going to come the way you expect it to, because it's not just about them. What God is about to show you in the final part of this is about something He placed inside you before you ever met this person, a promise that was yours before they entered the picture. And when you understand that, everything,